All right, guys, welcome to Tune Up Fridays, where me and Dave Mack talk about everything cabinets. And today we have an exciting episode for you. From last week when we talked about what refacing was, what cabinets was, what's the best option for you. This week we thought about doing what to expect in either of those jobs. So if you're doing a refacing or if you're doing new cabinets, we want to talk about what to expect in the job when we actually get out there and start doing the work. Now, it's important to emphasize that if you've already done a remodel in the past, then this may not apply to you as much because you probably have a pretty good idea of how things are going to happen. But you may have never done a refacing or never done any kitchen work. So if you haven't, then tune in because we're going to really talk about exactly what to expect when you're doing, these two types of projects. So let me get into refacing real quick. I think that's the one that I'm going to start with. So with the refacing, things are a little bit more simpler. I'm going to start with, right after the order has been processed and you decide to move forward with us or any of the other company for that matter. Once that's done, we go out there, we schedule a measure where we come out and we do a full technical measure on your kitchen. Because none of these doors on your cabinet doors are going to be off the shelf. They're all custom made and we order them specifically to size so we can get them exactly the way that we need in order to fit in your kitchen. Once that's done, there's a bit of lead time with the production. Once we get the materials, that's when we schedule you for your job and we come out. Once we're in the house, we start with a couple different things. Once obviously is going to be the demo, which means we're taking off all your doors, door fronts, and possibly even drawer boxes and then setting them aside. We'll also prep your cabinets to apply the veneer at that point. And that prep could, it depends on what kind of work we're doing and what kind of cabinets you already have, but it could differ based on that. If you have painted cabinets, we're going to need to do a little bit of stripping on there, which can be a little bit more intrusive into your lifestyle in the kitchen right there. But if we're doing a straight refacing on wood stained cabinets, then we might not have to go as deep. So depending on the shape that your cabinets are in, there's going to be a bit of that prep. Once that's complete, that's when we start putting the veneer on your cabinets, and that itself takes maybe a day and a half depending on the size of your kitchen. Once that's done, we put in all the nice little, finishing touches, the trim, the base molding, the toe cake. And then finally, of course, we put up the doors, we put up the soft close hinges, we put all those nice stuff in there, and then get your kitchen all ready and done for a reface. It's a fairly simple process. It's not as deep or it's not as, extensive, if you will, as new cabinets are going to be, but it certainly takes your kitchen out of commission for a couple of days. I mean, you can still use your refrigerator, you can still use some of your appliances, but you're not going to be able to cook in it. You're not going to be able to have a meal in it just because it is technically a construction zone. So obviously it's going to be off limits, but it's a lot less intrusive than, let's say, your painting jobs, which, they have to wall off everything in the kitchen. And of course, new cabinets when you have nothing in your kitchen. So two different things. Dave Mack, did I miss anything on the refacing side?
No, that's all good. I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
When you're doing refacing, you're working with some adhesives. Do you get odors and stuff that are sometimes, detrimental?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Sometimes we can, depending on the type of adhesive that's being used. There are some VOCs or volatile compounds that might be off-gassing. That's possible, but in the products that we use, they come with a 3M adhesive that doesn't have that, or if it does, it's very contained. So we don't have to worry too much about that. But when we do send out our emails for preparation to our customers, we do ask if there's anybody in the household that might be allergic to solvents. Because if they are, then we can take extra precautions to, ventilate the area a little bit more or make sure that the windows are open so it doesn't get stuffy and those off gases don't kind of linger around in your house. So yes, there's definitely some of that there, but not as much in the refacing versus what it would be in a painting job, because that's, you're using, there's a lot of off gassing going on in there. So yeah.
For sure.
Yep. Yeah.
So, well, that's all good. Well, let's shift gears a little bit now and talk about what happens when you gut your whole kitchen out and start over. Yeah. There's a lot of things that are going to hit your world. This is going to be kind of a high-level view of things to think about. The most obvious one is where you're going to cook, where you're going to wash your dishes, and how's all that going to happen? Because the timeline for doing a full kitchen remodel where you've torn out everything and you're starting over, could be 6 to 10 weeks. I've even seen them go out 3 months, depending on what the scope of the job is. If you're moving walls around inside your house, there's a whole nother couple components of electrical stuff, plumbing, drywall, insulation, all of those details. And then certainly permits. So your timelines are completely different. The intrusion into your life is pretty significant potentially, and one of the major areas that we in the construction world worry about is dust containment. Especially if you have like a site finished hardwood floor, one that's sanded and finished in place. Getting floors refinished is just a dusty, messy task, and there's just no way around it.
Yeah.
And everybody tries to do their best to contain that dust, but it's never 100%. So,
there's only so much you can do.
Exactly.
Right.
And so another area that is important as a homeowner is to think about, okay, if you have pets that live in your house, containing those pets. I actually had a cat crawl in under the floor and under the subfloor one time and get stuck down there. We were panicked trying to get this cat out.
You're kidding? That really happened?
Yeah, that really happened. Kids, toddlers especially,
Right.
if they're in the house and they got toys and things are moving around, keeping those kinds of things, obstacles out of the work area is really important, not only for the safety of the toddlers and the kids, but their toys won't get damaged, and we don't want our guys tripping over things and getting hurt. And we don't want anybody to get hurt on the job. So, those are just little areas that are easy to forget.
Yeah.
Storage of things that come into your house. For example, we're going to bring in a whole pile of cabinets, and they're going to take up some space while we start putting them together, putting them in their final places.
Mm-hmm.
Having a place to store that stuff along with your major appliances, your refrigerator, stove, oven, whatever, all of those things take up room, and sometimes garages work great.
Yeah.
We don't like to put new cabinets into garages though, because they're unheated spaces. So a lot of times we'll try to put them in the house, which is, obviously temperature controlled and preserves the life of those cabinets. We don't want an artificially created shrink and swell situation happening because they're in an unheated space.
And less potential for damage as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, those are some basic things. If we're going to be involved with some painting, if we're moving walls around, we're doing drywall, guess what? We're going to be painting.
Yeah.
And so, or somebody's going to paint. And so, you're going to get some odors from that. If you're doing countertops, they're using epoxies to do seams. Those are going to create some odors as well. So, it's good to pay attention to that sort of thing and how intrusive that is. Another example, I had a client one time that was recovering from brain cancer, and we were doing his kitchen, and we had some cabinets brought in, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but the finish had not fully cured and was still off-gassing.
Oh boy!
We pulled the cabinets out of the house right away because he was exposed to some, odors and things that weren't good, and we waited up to a month before we came back in to install because of the quality of life impact that was having on him. Yeah. So it really pays to pay attention to some of those details, and we all have to live in our homes and continue to function. And so finding ways of doing that, we've set up temporary sinks occasionally, we take the old kitchen sink, set it up in the same cabinet. We just put it someplace else and find a water supply and drain that works. And, little things like that can go a long way just to tide you over while construction's happening. And
these are things that the customer would also appreciate very much, right? Because
absolutely.
You're doing these little things, but it makes their life so much easier while you're in the house. So.
Yeah, and let's face it, who wants to be hand washing dishes in their bathroom sink?
Not me.
I did it while I was doing my own kitchen, so I know what the drill is. And so, the goal of everybody is to minimize the impacts on, your lifestyle while this is going on. But at the end of the day, we want to look at the result and, what we're going to, the goal and what we're going to achieve in creating a great space for you.
Makes sense. Dave Mack, do you think, what are the things that a homeowner can do when they know that they're going to have a remodel done in the next next few weeks in their lives? Are there steps that they can take themselves to make sure that all these things that we talked about, that they set up their space the right way, take the right precautions?
Well, thinking about how they're going to cook.
Right.
Okay, that's a big one. A microwave could figure heavily into that.
Yeah.
A grill outside, those kinds of things. Obviously, in the wintertime, a grill outside probably isn't going to be real exciting.
Yeah.
But, those kinds of things, just containing or finding a home to take your cat.
Yeah.
Maybe moving your cat off site or something like that. Dogs, same thing. Dogs in the house can be a problem. Having kids and their stuff moved into a different room and somehow confined so they can't get into the kitchen. A lot of contractors will put up temporary plastic walls, and that's a good tool to provide separation between the work area and the living area of the house. And
right.
I know people, depending on the scope of the job, will actually move out of their house, and that's
an option,
a radical option, and it's not a cheap one.
Yeah.
So
right.
But some people have RVs; they might stay in their RV for a little while too.
Right.
There's multiple options there. But
and that's, I guess, another advantage of the refacing option, if you were to pick that, is that you don't have to do all these things. You definitely don't have to move out of your house. You obviously have to take precautions to make sure that the space is cleared and prepared enough for the guys that are going to come in there and work. But it doesn't disrupt your life as much as, doing a whole gut and remodel, which obviously takes away a lot from your life and your space just because of the nature of the process itself. So great. I think the information was perfect. I hope this benefited you in some way to understand what are the steps that you would need to take when you do a kitchen remodel. It could be an extensive one like a gut and remodel with new cabinets, or doing a reface if you decide to go in that direction. If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments. If there's anything specific you'd like to know about refacing, cabinets, countertops, whatever it is, let us know and we'll make a new video just about that topic.